Good afternoon, everyone. Today in this series of answer writing program, today I'll be talking about the answer writing, and the aspects that I'll be talking about today would be your tail words, because tail words are very important, and then after the tail words we'll talk about essay. So let's begin with the tail words. See, when you see the question paper of UPSC, mains paper 1, 2, 3, 4, any of the papers, you will find that UPSC is using tail words, or it is giving you direction. There are questions where it is asking you to discuss, there are questions where it is asking you to analyze, there are questions where it is asking you to critically analyze. So it is like these tail words, or they are the directives, or they are the directions, like how you should proceed in the answer. And if you see the tail words, and generally people have this conception कि सब में तो positive, negative और एक conclusion लिखना है. Of course सब में positive, negative and conclusion लगभग लिखना होता है, but how to differentiate? Otherwise, why would have UPSC used different tail words? Yeah, it would have simply used one tail word because सब में करना तो वही है, but it is using different tail words. So there is some kind of a differentiation required. So let us take the tail words. I'll not simply take the tail words. What I'll do is, I have gone through the last year question papers, paper 1, 2, 3, 4, and I have taken the questions, and from these questions we'll see the tail word and we'll try to understand what does it mean. I'll write the questions. I am not using your PDF or something. I am just writing the question and we will be discussing. We'll try to understand the meaning of that. See, there was a question in paper 1 GS last time. All the questions that I am taking, except for one question, most of the questions are from your last year's question paper. So if you want to see, you can see it from 2019 UPSC mains question paper. The one question was the 1857. I am used to writing on the board, so I am using this method only. 1857 upspring. 1857 upspring was the culmination of the culmination of the recurrent big and small local rebellions that had occurred in the preceding 100 years of British rule. Elucidate. I am not going by the alphabetical order, like starting with D or something. I am taking the questions and discussing. Okay, so the term here, or the keyword or the tail word here is not the keyword, but the tail word here is, or the direction here given is to elucidate. Now, the 1857 upspring was the culmination of the recurrent big and small local rebellions that had occurred in the preceding 100 years of British rule. Elucidate. So what does this term elucidate means? Elucidate means is to make it clear. To make it clear to the other person, you have to describe about it, you have to elucidate, you have to make it clearly understand. You have to think that the other person has no knowledge about it, and you have to make the other person clearly understand is the task that is given here. So you have to make the other person understand that how the 1857 upspring was the culmination of the recurrent big and small local rebellion that had occurred in the past 100 years. So past 100 years small rebellions had occurred, and finally 1857 was a sum total of all those things. So you have to make that thing very much clear. So when I say that you have to make a concept clear to me, say for example, or if I am making something clear to you, what I am trying to do is I am trying to make you understand this through different examples. I am trying to make you understand through different, अगर नहीं समझ में आ रहा है, what I would do is I would try to make some diagram, I would try to make some kind of a flow chart to make it easy for you to understand. So when it is elucidate, so you have to show how different small rebellions were there, like we have Paika, we have Santhal, we had so many rebellions. So how it led to the culmination. So you have to give examples, you have to show like how these small things, to make the things clear to the reader or to the person who is asking you this question. So elucidate clearly says that you have to make it clear and easy to understand. Similarly, elucidate is same thing. When you are explaining, it is also a similar. Elucidate, explain, throw light upon. These are similar kind of things. When someone is saying explain, what you do is like explain me the concept of quantum mechanics. So what you will do, you will try to explain what does it mean, how does it work, what is like the science behind it, and if I am not able to understand, you will give me some example. So that is what elucidate or explain or throw light upon this issue, मतलब इसके बारे में कुछ बताओ. So it is similar kind of a thing, and when we have these kind of tail words, elucidate, explain, throw light upon, in these kind of things we need to make the person understand your concept or understand the what is written there. You have to make sure that the other person is clearly understanding it, and to make other person understand it, we can use examples, we can use diagrams, we can use flow charts. So that is a kind of a direction कि elucidate करना है, तो you can put these things, you can substantiate your points through diagrams, through your pie charts, through your flow charts, anything, or different examples. So elucidate, explain or throw light upon means you have to make the other person clearly understand it. Elucidate ho, explain ho, throw light upon ho. So these are similar kind of terms. Now the another tail word is, let's take another question. The 1857 crisis, that is again a question which was given, which was asked last year mains. Crisis came at first as a mere military mutiny. It speedily changed into, its character, and became a national insurrection. Now, critically comment. This is the question. Here we see that we are having two tail words. Critically comment. Yeah, critically. One is your comment, and that too you have to critically comment this. So there are two tail words here. So let us take first tail word, that is comment. There are many times the question which is having this tail word. Comment upon the current comment upon the current status of judiciary in India or judicial system in India. Comment upon the current status of the police machinery in India. So what is comment? Comment means you have, like in Hindi it is said that tippani karna. So how would you do? How would you comment? It means you have to pinpoint the main points. जो आपके मेन पॉइंट्स है. इफ आई से लाइक कमेंट ऑन, गिव योर कमेंट्स ऑन टुडेज वेदर इन ऑफ दिल्ली. सो व्हाट विल यू डू इज यू विल पिन पॉइंट दैट वेदर इज नॉट गुड. I'll say why weather is not good. You will say that because of the high level of pollution, people are facing so many of the respiratory problems. There is no fresh air. The sky is not blue, it is grey. So that's why the weather is not clear. So when someone is asking you to comment, so comment means that you have to go to the main points and then you have to give your opinion on that. Comment. Like 1857 crisis came at first as a mere military mutiny. It speedily changed its character and became a national insurrection. So this is the statement. You have to comment. If you say yes, it happened like this. Yes, 1857 crisis, it was just initially it was just a military mutiny, but later on it became a national like revolt. So you have, if you are agreeing to this is the main focus कि 1857 was just a mutiny, a military mutiny, but later on it led to your national movement. So you have, this is the main point. So you have to acknowledge this main point and then you have to substantiate also. So that is what is comment. When you have to comment, you have to see you have to get the main points of the issue, and then based on those main points you have to give your opinion. If you are pro opinion, why you are pro opinion. If you are against that opinion, why you are against that opinion. That is your comment. It's like giving a commentary. So comment is when you have to see the main points, and on those main points what is your viewpoint and why that viewpoint is there. So why is there? So you have to give the logics. When it is comment, they are looking for your logical reasoning behind your comment. ऐसा नहीं है कि बस कुछ भी कमेंट में लिखना है. इफ़ यू आर सेइंग येस, तो वाई येस and what is the logic behind your yes. So you have to give the rationale of your logics here. So that is your comment. And now another word here is critically, and critically is a term which is often used with like critically examine, critically analyze, critically discuss, critically comment. So when we have critically means it is saying that, just understand, like there is a film critics. What happens? The movie is doing very good on in the box office, but then we say that critics have this thing to say. Means like the movie is doing wonders on the box office, but yes, the movie is good, songs are good, costumes are good, everything is good, but still this thing was not good, the direction was not good, the story was not good. So कितना भी आपका पॉजिटिव होगा उसका क्रिटिक जो है थोड़ा नेगेटिव निकालेगा. Similarly, a picture is not, or film is not doing very good in the box office. Say for example some art movie, it is not doing very good in the box office. People have very negative reviews about that movie, but the critics would say that though people have negative reviews about this movie, but yes, the storyline of the movie is good, the particular actor has acted very well in this. So the thing I mean to say is कि when it is critically, a statement is given, critically should not be confused with criticism. We do not have to criticize, rather very simple to understand. If a statement is saying something positive, if the statement is saying something positive and then you have to critically analyze, means you have to critically analyze means you have to give the negative aspect of that also. And if the statement is saying negative, then you have to give the positive aspect of that. Say for example, if I say that corruption can never be removed from India, critically comment. If it is saying that corruption can never be removed from India, critically comment. So if corruption can never be removed from India means it's a negative statement. So you have to show, you have to give something positive, like no, we are now moving towards transparency, we are moving towards e-governance, people are becoming aware, though it is difficult, but it can be done. It's not like it cannot be done. So that is, a statement is negative, but you are also countering it with the positive. Same statement could be in a positive way, like corruption has been removed from India. So critically comment, no, corruption has not been removed from India. We have so many instances. We have seen bank NPAs are there. We have seen that day-to-day corruption is there. We have seen so many scams are there. So just, I think you have understood. If I am saying positive, if the statement is giving you a positive orientation, uska negative likhna hai. And if the statement is giving you a negative orientation, uska jo hai पॉजिटिव लिखना. अगर पॉजिटिव दे रहा है तो उसके नेगेटिव्स बताने, और उसका नेगेटिव है तो उसका पॉजिटिव, दोनों को साथ साथ लेके चलना है. तो जैसे कि क्रिटिकली कमेंट दैट करप्शन कैन नॉट बी रिमूव फ्रॉम इंडिया. सो यू विल ब्रीफली फर्स्ट go with the statement, yes, corruption cannot be removed from India because this things are there, and then we have to also give the counter view that but yes, corruption is getting removed, how it is getting removed, how it can be removed, and where we are moving towards removing it. So आपको दोनों एंगल, you have to give both the sides. So critically comment. अगर statement positive, I am repeating it again and again because this is something which is very important. When it is like critically, people start criticizing it. अगर वो नेगेटिव है तो वो नेगेटिव क्यों स्टेटमेंट दी है उसको थोड़ा सा यू हैव टू एक्सप्लेन एंड देन उसका पॉजिटिव बताना है. अगर स्टेटमेंट पॉजिटिव वाइब्स दे रही है तो थोड़ा सा पॉजिटिव जो स्टेटमेंट दी है यू हैव टू एक्सप्लेन इट एंड देन उसका काउंटर बताना है आपको. सो दैट इज व्हाट इज योर critically. And comment is you have to go and see the main points, and उन main points में what is your opinion about the why is your opinion, what is your opinion and why is your opinion. आपका opinion क्या है उसके लिए और क्यों है वो opinion, what is the logic or what is the rationale behind that opinion. And when it is comment means you have to finally give a conclusion also, because आपका ओपिनियन क्या है, क्यों है, एंड दिस इज माई फाइनल कमेंट, दिस इज माई फाइनल कंक्लूजन. सो हियर यू नीड टू गिव योर कंक्लूजन एज वेल. सो दैट इज योर क्रिटिकली कमेंट. बट क्रिटिकली use can be used against examine, can be used against analysis. There you have to give, अगर positives हैं तो उसके साथ थोड़ा सा नेगेटिव, एंड अगर स्टेटमेंट नेगेटिव रिफ्लेक्ट कर रही है तो वो क्यों नेगेटिव रिफ्लेक्ट कर रही है एंड उसके साथ आपको उसका पॉजिटिव दे रहा है. सो दैट इज comment and critically comment. Critically should never be confused with criticism. Then another is your examine. Examine the linkages between, again this is a question from last year paper 1. Examine the linkages between 19th centuries Indian Renaissance and emergence of national identity and emergence of national identity. Okay, so this is examine. This is also a term which is often used by UPSC as tailword in its questions. So examine the linkages between 19th century's Indian Renaissance and emergence of national identity. Now when it is examine is like something which has already happened, post facto. Post facto, something which has already happened. Say for example, you give your copies to the examiner to examine it. The examiner examines the copy. You go to a doctor examines the patient. So what happens there? When someone is examining Supposedly, a teacher is examining the copy, examiner is examining that copy. So what will the teacher or the examiner would do? Examiner would go through each and every minute detail of it, and then finally he will give you the marks. Here you do not have to give the marks, but the thing is you have to finally conclude based on this. Okay, this part was good, this part was not good. Supposedly I am checking your copy, I will say that introduction part was good, but the body was not that good, and conclusion was also not appropriate. So finally I would allot you this and this marks. So based on my different I have checked the different aspects, I have gone into the different minute details of your answers, and then I am giving you the marks. Similarly, when you go to the doctor will examine you, he'll see your BP, he'll see your other parameters, he will use the stethoscope, and he will see the different body parts, and then after examining he will give the report that you have this disease or you have that disease, or you are absolutely healthy. So examine means something which has happened post facto, means जो चीज़ हो चुकी है उसको आप examine कर रहे होते हो, है ना. जैसे आप डॉक्टर के पास जा रहे हो, जैसे कोई भी चीज़ है, यहाँ पे भी आपको एग्जामिन द लिंकेज बिटवीन 19th सेंचुरी इंडियन रेनेसां एंड इमर्जेंस ऑफ नेशनल आइडेंटिटी. सो यू हैव टू एग्जामिन कि इन दोनों के बीच में जो है वो लिंकेजेस कैसे हैं. सो यू हैव टू गो टू द डिटेल्स ऑफ ईच एंड एवरी एस्पेक्ट कि व्हाट इज द लिंकेज, एंड when you are going for examine in this kind of like these kind of questions, you can go for analysis, you can go for statistic, you can go for trends. Like say for examine the development of India post liberalization, post LPG. Examine the development of India in the area of say for example service sector post LPG. So when you have to examine post LPG, तो pre LPG क्या trends थे, you should be knowing that. Pre LPG trends क्या थे, फिर आप उनको link करके then you can talk about it. So when it is examine करना, or similar to examine is your review. If you have to review, you have to give the review. If you have to review a copy, you have to review some report, what will you do? You will go for each and every minute details, and then based on your observation, why is your observation, supposedly you have given me an answer and I have given you out of say 10 marks, I have given you 3 marks. So why I have given you 3 marks? I have that logic, I have my rationale. So same thing is expected here. So examine and review, these are similar kind of a terms. So whenever you get this tail word, you have to go to the each and every minute details, and then you have to give your conclusion also, that why this is there is a linkage between Indian Renaissance and emergence of national identity, because you have to give your final conclusion here, because otherwise your examination is incomplete. You have just seen it but you have not concluded it. So whenever you get examine or review, you have to do like this. So examine, जब भी ये word आए, think like you are examining a copy. What does examiner do? Examiner would see and give you marks. Marks means that is his conclusion. So examine or your review. Then another question was assess the impact. This is again from your last year question. Assess the impact of global warming on coral reef, coral life systems with examples. Now the word tail word here is assess. assess karna means you have to do the assessment. When let us take a very simple example where there is a flood. We say that the chief minister has gone for the assessment of the flood loss or the loss caused due to the flood, or there has been, say for example, some kind of a cyclone. So the disaster management team has now, after the disaster, the management team has gone there to assess the loss of लाइफ एंड प्रॉपर्टी. सो व्हेन इट इज असेस करना किसी चीज़ को, किसी चीज़ का जायज़ा लेना, मीन्स यू आर आफ्टर सीइंग यू आर गिविंग सम काइंड ऑफ अ वैल्यू टू दैट. हियर अगेन वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू गिव यू मार्क्स, बट इट इज़ लाइक you are calculating, you are estimating about it. So you are giving some kind of your assessment. You are showing ki this is what, like the flood has come and my assessment is like, okay, this much has been lost there. Similarly, like we have every time we say that what is your assessment about this year's PT's cutoff. So assessment is what do you think? How do you see that trend? You see what has happened on the ground, you see its repercussion, and then you say, okay, this year's PT, okay, these were the static portions. For the first time we have, not for the first time, but yes, after like this time we had many questions from agriculture which generally people ignore, and this time not many questions were for current affairs. So my assessment is that this time cutoff will not go very high, because generally people prepare for current and they ignore agriculture and all this. So after, when you visualize, when you analyze, when you see the trends that are in front of you, based on that आप अपनी assessment करते हो. तो same thing will happen here, कि assess the impact of global warming on coral life systems with examples. So when you have to assess, so you will see how how this global warming has impacted corals, how in what areas it has impacted, what further dangers it is showing, what signs it is showing, how corals are reacting to the global warming. तो उससे कितने corals have already been destroyed, how the coral ecosystem in Indian Ocean or maybe in your Australian areas, how it has got destroyed with global warming. So assessment is when you are seeing the things that are happening, or you are seeing the trend, you are comparing it, what was there and what is the present. So unko aap karke you assess something, you give an estimate about it. So that is what you have to do in assess, कि आपको assess करना है, आपको you have to somehow give your opinion based on the trends which were there और जो अभी है ना, assessment करना, assess करना. So that is your assess. And when you are assessing something, you have to give logics, you have to give arguments. If you are assessing something कि you are saying that global warming से इतना loss हुआ है, तो you should substantiate it with some of the data, some of the facts that you have with you. So when it is like assessment है, तो आपका जो assessment है, if someone is saying what is the cutoff, what is your assessment, so I would say this cutoff this time would not go beyond 100 for prelims, it would be somewhere around 98 to 100. So now the next question would be, what is your basis of this assessment? So when you are assessing this, when you are assessing anything, what is the basic, what is the rationale behind your assessment, that also has to be reflected in your answers. So जो basis क्या है, अगर कोई data है तो वो आप इसमें डाल सकते हो, अगर आपके पास कोई trends हैं वो आप इसमें डाल सकते हो, अगर आपके पास कोई examples हैं, you can put it here. So assessment is that. Now another question is, when you are assessing, please remember that you have to give your conclusion. आपका final assessment क्या है? हम कहते हैं ना, situation आपने देखा ना, what is your final assessment? And say for example, Bihar elections are about to be concluded soon, yeah? So what is your assessment? Who is going to win? So you have seen the election trends, you have seen the past trends, and then you will say that my assessment is this particular party or this particular politician is going to win. So finally जो है आपका assessment का, you have to give a conclusion also. Now another is very common is, if you see last year's question paper, most of the questions were having this: discuss. discuss the causes of, discuss, most of the questions in last year's question paper had this tail word discuss. Discuss the causes of depletion on deflation of mangroves and explain the importance in maintaining coastal ecosystem. So when we say discuss, discuss is what? It's a kind of a written debate. When we discuss something, let's say when we discuss, let's discuss about the new education policy, or you might have seen that there are discussions or the big picture or the big debates happening on the social platforms, or the debates happening on the TV screen. So what is discuss? Discuss is like a mini debate where you are discussing the positives as well as negatives. तो जैसे TV में discussion होती है, news discussion and news analysis. These are two things, news discussion and your analysis. So discussion is where what happens, you might have seen, just relate the things to your day to day examples and it would be very easy to understand. Otherwise अगर आप इसकी definitions रटने लगोगे तो लगेगा यार सब में तो एक ही चीज़ लिखनी, difference कहाँ है. So just take the example when we have seen that some TV debate is going on, or some TV discussion is going on a particular topic. So say for example, let us take the Hathras incidents. There have been so many discussions, or there had been discussions on the TV screens with respect to your extrajudicial killings in Hyderabad or in some other areas in India in the recent past. So what would happen is all the panelists there would be giving point, fatafat, they will be talking about this was good, this was bad in Hathras, this has happened, this should have been done in this way, this has happened, this is where the government has done it properly and this is where the government has not done it properly. So अपने अपने point आप रखते हो, positive भी रखते हो, negative भी रखते हो, and at the end of the discussion we come to a conclusion. So discussion जब भी होगी, it means you have to, it's a kind of a debate. Debate में you give counter arguments and counter arguments. आपको positives and negatives, you have to give both the sides. When we are discussing something, when we say let us sit and discuss about how to prepare for UPSC. You are sitting with your friend, you will discuss, you will say that see this is my strength, this is my weakness, यहाँ पे I am positive, यहाँ पे I am negative. So finally the conclusion is I will join a coaching or I will not join a coaching. I can do at my own, I cannot do at my own. So that is what is discussed. When you are discussing means it's like a mini debate. जब debate होता है तो arguments and counter arguments, both things need to be given, and then finally you have to give a final conclusion also कि इतनी discussion, many times we say that इतनी discussion हुई conclusion तो निकला ही नहीं. तो it is like discussion में you are always expecting that there should be a conclusion. So when you are discussing something, please give a conclusion also. And साथ में let us talk about talk about another thing, that is your, many times we get critically discuss. जब ये क्रिटिकली डिस्कस है तो क्या करना है ना, क्रिटिकली डिस्कस. सो व्हेन इट इज क्रिटिकली डिस्कस, सो what you could do is, if you are giving a positive point, number one positive point, simultaneously give its negative also. Number two positive point, simultaneously give its negative also. Number three positive point, simultaneously give its negative also. साथ साथ जो है दोनों के जो है आप critically discuss करते जाओ. Means अगर कोई positive है, जैसे I have already told you कि critically, whenever we have this critical word, it means if the statement is showing positivity, थोड़ा सा जो उसका काउंटर है यू हैव टू गिव. इफ द स्टेटमेंट इज सेइंग नेगेटिव देन उसका काउंटर थोड़ा आपको पॉजिटिव बताना होगा. तो क्रिटिकली डिस्कस मीन्स इफ यू आर गिविंग अ पॉजिटिव ऑफ वन, फर्स्ट पॉइंट इज पॉजिटिव, सेकेंड simultaneously give its negative, or otherwise the second point is like negative, give its positive साथ साथ. If it is negative here, you give positive here. So the thing is you have to balance each and every point, argument and counter argument, but please give a conclusion there, because discussion should, we discuss the issues, we discuss the things because we want to come to a conclusion. When we are confused we say that let us sit and discuss, let us sort it out, let us discuss, means we should come to a final conclusion. So that is what is your discuss. Now I always forget this anyways. Now many voices, another question is many voices had strengthened and enriched the nationalist movement during the Gandhian phase. During the Gandhian phase. Now elaborate. Elaborate means you have to give a detail account. उसको विस्तार से समझाओ. Elaborate करो, उसका विस्तार करो. Elaborate करना means you have to, this is the statement that many voices had strengthened and enriched the nationalist movement during the Gandhian phase. You have to elaborate it, means इसको विस्तार से बताओ. तो ये जो statement है you have to discuss it in detail. You have to talk about this statement in detail. So elaborate is like elaborate, explain, similar words are there. Illustrate. Illustrate may means you have to give more and more examples. Similarly, आपको जो है substantiate also be is like this is the statement, now you substantiate. So here you have to give your facts, figures, examples. So elaborate करने का मतलब है विस्तार से बताओ. विस्तार से बताने के लिए what you will be doing, you will be using more and more examples, you will be using more and more diagrams if you know about if there are any diagrams about it, और आपके पास कोई examples हैं आप उनसे substantiate करोगे. तो elaborate मतलब विस्तार से बताओ. So elaborate करना, explain करना, illustrate करना, substantiate करना, it means you have to explain using examples, facts, figures, whatever medium or whatever tool you could use to explain it clearly to the person who is asking you the question. So explain, illustrate, substantiate, elaborate, they are similar. Even demonstrate also, it is also similar. Demonstrate also, when it is demonstrate, then also you have to, explain it and giving examples, citing examples, you have to demonstrate that this is what is the statement is saying. Now, another term is, another question which was asked last year is enumerate. Enumerate the indirect taxes which have been subsumed in the GST in India, full stop. This is one part of the question. It has another sub question. Also comment on revenue implications also comment upon the revenue implications of the GST introduced in India since July 17. Now, here we have enumerate. Comment we have already discussed what to do in comment, but why I have written both the questions is there is a reason behind it. Also comment. See, this question has two parts. One is this first part of the question, and from here you have the second part of the question. Sometimes what happens is we write one part very nicely, another part we completely just somehow we finish that. See, whenever there is a chronology given, there are questions where you have 2-3 sub questions. This is one question which has 2 sub questions, one and second. So the order in which the question has been asked, you should go by that order only. It should not be like first you will comment and then you will enumerate. So that also is very important, because UPSC is asking you in a particular chronology, it is asking you in a particular order. So you should also write your answer in that order, and marks are allocated for each and every subsection that is being asked. ऐसा नहीं है that you are going to write one section and you are going to get good marks. No. The order has to be followed, the chronology that UPSC has asked in the question, that order, that sequence has to be followed, and at the same time, every question that is asked, you have to answer to that, only then you will get the complete marks for whatever you have written. So, enumerate means you have to list point wise. Kabhi bhi if it is enumerate the features of the national cyber policy, or enumerate the features of the national education policy. So enumerate means you have to point wise likhna, point wise format mein one by one, point wise format. You have to point wise format mein you have to give the features. So enumerate the indirect taxes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, one by one, point wise format. So that is this when it is enumerate, and please always follow okay. Now, okay, another question is how far, that is also a tail which is used by UPSC in many questions. How far is integrated farming system helpful in sustaining agricultural production, agricultural production. Now, how far? How far means, again, how far is integrated farming system helpful in sustaining agricultural production? Means कहाँ तक जो है आपका integrated, means कहाँ तक? It means it is giving you a hint that it is not something which is going to be complete. It might have certain challenges, or it might have certain issues, or it might have certain drawbacks also, or it might need some more improvement. So how far means जहाँ तक ये कर सकता है integrated farming, you have to write that how far till this point integrated farming is going to increase or give sustainability to our agriculture production. But after this, these are the challenges which needs to be overcome, and if you could give suggestion how to overcome, you can do. How far? How far? So till जहाँ तक है it can do, you write that, then you write the challenges or the issues जहाँ पे हैं आपके, and then you write the way forward where you give suggestion. So that is what is how far. Okay, till this point it is okay, but beyond this, these are the challenges or these are the drawbacks. It could be overcome, give suggestions how to overcome. So that is how far. Then analyze, that is also a now, just a few of them are left now. Analyze. The question is coastal sand mining. Coastal sand mining. Whether legal or illegal, poses one of the biggest threats to the environment. Poses one of the biggest threats to the environment. Through the environment. Analyze. Analyze is what? Analyze is you have to scrutinize it. You have to give the crux. What is your analysis? What is your analysis about it? What is your, how you have scrutinized it? It is like analysis बताओ. इसका whole का you have to give the analysis. You have to give a kind of a nichod, the final outcome. What is the final analysis? You might have seen news analysis. So what is the analysis means? You are going in depth into each and every aspect. If you have to analyze, say for example, new education policy, or you have to analyze the coastal sand mining, whether legal or illegal, poses one of the biggest threats to the environment. So you have to give your analysis. Means it is saying that आपको legal तो है, because illegal we always say it is bad, it is bad. Even legal is also bad. So how it is impacting? So you have to break the issue into segments, different components, and then you have to give your deeper thought into that, and then based on that you have to give your conclusion, you have to give your analysis. Like when we see that news analysis mein what they do, they are not talking about a point wise ki this 1 2 3 4. What they are doing is they are seeing the trend, they are giving their analysis based on that. So like election के टाइम पे अभी वोटर्स का एनालिसिस आता है, दे आर नॉट गिविंग यू अ फाइनल कंक्लूजन, बट दे आर शोइंग यू समवेयर, दे आर टेकिंग यू टुवर्ड्स द कंक्लूजन, ओके दिस कैंडिडेट माइट विन, दिस कैंडिडेट माइट लूज. सो न्यूज एनालिसिस इज देयर, इलेक्शन एनालिसिस is there. So analysis is somewhere you are going into deeper part of each and every deeper aspect of each and every component of the statement, and then you are showing your critical, you are showing your mental ability of understanding the subject objectively. Objectively means उसके pros and cons आप दोनों को देख रहे हो, and then based on that you are giving your final, you are doing your final scrutiny, जो आप उसका एक crux, उसका एक सार, what is your analysis about it, like new education policy, it is talking about like vernacular education. So आपका ये point है, तो vernacular education good भी है, कई जगह पे इसमें प्रॉब्लम्स भी हैं वर्नैकुलर में. सो यू हैव टू एनालाइज कि ओके दिस इज वन पॉइंट बट माई एनालिसिस इज दिस इज ऑल्सो लाइक वर्नैकुलर वुड प्रमोट दिस बट वर्नैकुलर हैज दिस ऑल्सो द इश्यूज. सो इट शोज दैट व्हेन यू आर एनालाइजिंग समथिंग you are scanning something. एनालिसिस करने के लिए आपको जो है से when we say that when you start preparing for UPSC you analyze the question trends. So what you do is you go and see each and every question and then based on that you are showing your maturity कि हाँ ये trend बता रहा है कि now questions are being linked with the current. So most of the things that are happening in the current that is being asked in by UPSC. सारे questions देख के हमें लग रहा है कि analysis is कि now they are also going for interlinking. Paper 2 question is asked in paper 3 वाला 1 में they are interlinking the question. So analysis is it shows your eye for detail. माइन्यूट से माइन्यूट चीज़ को भी आप देख रहे हो एंड देन उसको जो है आप लॉजिकली स्कैन कर रहे हो एंड देन यू आर गिविंग योर फाइनल एनालिसिस. सो दैट इज़ योर एनालिसिस. यू आर एनालाइजिंग कि क्या हो सकता है न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी से वर्नैकुलर एजुकेशन, वर्नैकुलर वन ऑफ द पॉइंट्स इज वर्नैकुलर एजुकेशन, उससे क्या हो सकता है, कहाँ पे चैलेंजेस हैं. सो यू आर जस्ट गिविंग योर एनालिसिस. लाइक इन टीवी वी सी news analysis, we see debates on particular topics. So analysis is, it is basically you are breaking the statement into or the question into different components and then you are minutely going through the nitty-gritties of those issues and then you are finally coming up with this. So you are basically scrutinizing the topic. So that is your analysis. And here analysis आप दे सकते हो but final conclusion, this is what I am saying, finally it can be or it cannot be, that's up to you. But it's not important that you should go for conclusion. Then there is a question, clarify. So there is a term called clarify or justify. There has been a question like the public expenditure management is a challenge to the government of India in the context of budget making during the post liberalization period. Clarify it. Clarify it means, or justify it means, a statement is given. If I say you clarify your point, so you have to make it very much clear or you justify. If you are saying that capital punishment should be abolished in India, justify. So you will give your argument whether it should be abolished or whether it should not be abolished. Why it should be abolished? If you are saying that yes, capital punishment should be abolished in India, if I am giving you a statement, yes, capital punishment should be abolished in India, then you have to justify whether you agree to this or not. And if you are not agreeing to it, then you have to clarify or you have to justify your stand, and that stand could be justified through substantiating it. आपका अपना rational, आपका अपना logic, कहते हैं ना अपनी सफाई देना. You have to clarify yourself, you have to justify yourself. So here the statement you have to justify if you are agreeing to it, why you are agreeing to it, if you are not agreeing to it, why you are not agreeing to it, and if you have certain tools to justify, if you have examples, if you have statistics, if you have trends to show, then you can use this in this answers. Then define. Define the concept. There was a question last year. Define the concept of carrying capacity. carrying capacity of an ecosystem as relevant to an environment, as relevant to an when it is defined, it's very simple. When you have to define, you have to give meaning of it. Define, say, if I say define democracy or define liberty, so what is the meaning of it? So when it is defined, you have to explain it, you have to give meaning of that. So define the concept of carrying capacity of an ecosystem as relevant to an environment. So you have to give meaning to this concept and that it has a relevance to an environment. So define means you have to give the meaning of that particular thing. Then most of the things examine, critically examine we have done. Then there are two terms, compare and contrast. So these are also terms which are often used, compare and contrast. So when it is compare means, say for example, you get a question like compare the parliamentary system of UK with India. So when you are comparing the positives as well as negatives. इसमें ये पॉजिटिव है तो इसके काउंटर पार्ट इंडिया में ऐसा है, अगर वहाँ पे नेगेटिव है तो उसका काउंटर पार्ट इंडिया में ऐसा है. सो व्हेन यू आर कंपेयरिंग positives as well as negatives. But when it is contrast is opposite. आप उसका जो है, if it is positive तो आप उसके contrast में बोलोगे, if it is negative you have to give the contrast through positive. So compare both positives and negatives, contrast मतलब उसका opposite आपको बताना, contrast. So these are some of the tail words which are often used, but if you go through the question papers, then there are these terms like discuss, analyze, examine, how far, clarify. These are the things which are often used by UPSC as tail words. So these are one of the most common tail words that we have discussed today. Still, if you have doubts, then I would suggest go through the question paper, start writing answer, and then you will understand the terms. It's not like all of a sudden, because all of a sudden if you see all this you will say सब में तो पॉजिटिव नेगेटिव लिखना है, सब में तो एग्जाम्पल्स देने हैं, बट द थिंग इज यू नीड टू, व्हेन यू आर एक्चुअली प्रैक्टिसिंग इट यू विल गेट टू अंडरस्टैंड द डिफरेंस इज माइन्यूट. द ओनली वे, द ओनली थिंग इज हाउ यू आर रिप्रेजेंटिंग, किस पे ज़्यादा फोकस करना है, कब करना है, किस में कंक्लूजन में फोकस ज़्यादा होना है, किस में आपका डिबेट्स में होना है, किस में साइमल्टेनियसली पॉजिटिव नेगेटिव साथ लिखना है, किस में आपको कंट्रास्ट करके दिखाना है. सो दीज थिंग्स वुड बी मच क्लियरर to you once you start writing the answers. So that's all about the tail words, major tail words that we have taken.